I've been drag racing since I was in high school. All started out with a 1952 Oldsmobile, my first car. And anyways, I got hooked up with a couple of car clubs in Kenosha and that, and started going out to the drag strip. And I used to fly model airplanes, U-control. And one year I figured, well, I'm going to get a trophy, and it's going to be with my airplanes or it's going to be with the car. Ended up being the car. Well, golly gee. The heck with the airplanes. So I started racing my car, and I'd go out to the drag strip all the time, and I did quite well out there. I didn't win all the time or anything, but I guess you could say I got hooked. And then I bought gassers were pretty popular then.
What year was that about?
I probably was racing my Oldsmobile out there maybe 57 or that, or shortly after the track opened. And in 1958 I bought my current car, 1946 Ford. It had an Oldsmobile engine in it. I paid $75 for it. And the car didn't run, so I pulled it all apart, and I then worked on that, and then I had my 52 Oldsmobile all apart, and I'm thinking to myself, well, which one can I get going quicker? So I come to the conclusion that the 46 Ford, I could get that going quicker. And if I drag race it, I don't have to have headlights, I don't have to have this and that. Not a lot of wiring, just the basic stuff, and that's what I did. And I raced it in 1963. I had 6 two-barrels on it, Vertex Magneto, and I wanted it to go faster. So I tore it all apart, moved the engine back 10% of the wheelbase. You had to have the center of the crank, I believe it was 23 inches from the center of the crank to the ground. And the engine I moved back, it ended up going back maybe about 11 inches. Made a new firewall, made all new motor mounts. I got a Henry J radiator in it, 1951 I believe. 55 Ford truck steering box. It looks really cool, but it's the lousiest steering box you could possibly get. It steers like a truck. I don't know why. So then I put a 51 Merc rear end in it. Al Pfeiffer had a Merc rear end in his car, and a lot of guys, what they did was they let the tires hang out, and I thought that really looked bad. So I radiused the wheel wells, and I shortened one axle 2 inches shorter, and now my tires fit underneath the fenders like they should, instead of hanging out. The 51 Merc rear end is a Dana 44, which is a Jeep. They put Dana 44s in a lot of different cars, and you get any gear ratio you wanted relatively cheap because it's for a Jeep. A lot of these guys are putting Chevy rear ends in their cars, and then they had to go buy Getz gears, and back then that was big bucks. So and hot rodders back then, they did things cheap and by themselves most of the time. You go to the junkyard, oh yeah, that'll work. And
that's what we did.
And that's how we did it, and that's how I did it. And basically, I had some problems. I changed the transmission. Perry Seitz, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He was after me for I don't know how many years. I'll build you a Turbo 400 and this and that. And I had to give this old Hydromatic a real fair shot, which I did. And I told Perry, I said, this winter we're going to put a Turbo 400 in it. He built the transmission, and I made all the adapters and everything, made my own flex plate. We used a Vega torque converter. Made everything in it. I lost, my guess, probably about 40 pounds rotating mass by just changing the transmission.
Right. Now, what was the first year that you can remember racing out of Great Lakes with this 46 Ford?
What?
What year was it?
That was 63.
63 was the first year?
I raced it in 63 out there, and then I took it to Lake Geneva, busted an axle. Well, anyways, I used Lincoln axles because they're meatier. I could shorten it up 2 inches and run the spline further down. With the regular Mercury axle, it was kind of, the diameter was reduced if I would have shortened it. But with the Lincoln ones, it was the same diameter quite a ways back.
Right.
So that's why I used the Lincoln axles. But and I ended up being a tool and die maker at American Motors, and you know, over the years you work on things and you get smarter. And I ended up making my own spool. I put a posi in it. It worked out for a while, and I ended up using Jeep axles. And of course, everything on this car, nothing just falls into place. Everything is more or less custom made. The front axle is all stainless steel, 32 spindles, Earhart calipers, made my own rotors and that. And it's everything on the car is homemade.
Exactly.
Made my own roller rocker arms.
Wow.
They don't even make a spool for a Dana 44.
So
Every now and then I go to these like good guys meets and this and that, and I see the vendors and I talk to them, and no, we've been thinking about it. Well, I figure, okay, my time spent making this was well worth it.
Right, right.
And if I have a problem with the one I made, I got enough material and another piece already splined, ready to go for another one. So,
right.
And I got a couple of spare axles if I have a problem. So
now, was the car actually purchased from somebody in Kenosha at that time, or?
actually, this is strange. I bought it from a friend of my cousin, and eventually they moved next door to me. And the car originally come out of Milwaukee, and that's where they used to live. So I rented a garage down on 13th Avenue, and I had the car there, and one day some detectives from Milwaukee came, and they wanted to see my title and that for the car. He says, I showed it to him, oh, well, this title is for a car up in Milwaukee. And I gave the title to him, and I never saw or heard anything from him again.
Wow.
No title. Of course, I never had the right title for the car to start with, but to this day, I still don't have a title for it. Well,
we'll talk about, are those fenders actually leaded like that, or is that some sort of a filler that...
it's got like 200 pounds of body lead in it.
Lead?
Lead.
Who all did that work on there?
I did a lot of it.
Did you really?
I painted it.
Wow. Well, you're a jack of all trades, huh?
I'm cheap.
Yeah. You got to learn how to do
I can't afford to pay anybody to do it.
Now that lacquer job you got on there, how old is that now?
I painted that in, I don't know, probably about 61 or 62.
Wow, right there. Wow.
And it's 10 coats of celluloid lacquer. It's starting to crack, and it's getting there. And about 15 years ago, Don Gartlett says it needs a paint job, and I told Don Gartlett, I says, you know, Don, I says they're building brand new nostalgia race cars in California. I told him, I don't want anybody to think this is brand new.
Right.
So then in 2006, I was invited to a gasser gathering at Indianapolis, Labor Day weekend, the big weekend. I was one of 32 cars throughout the world invited to this. I was the only car there with Hellbrand mag wheels that were not polished.
Wow.
Everybody else had them polished. And well, helping Al Pfeiffer, when I was just a teenager and that, I found out that polishing mag wheels is not fun. So when he ordered these for me, I decided that they're never going to be polished.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't have to polish my mag wheels. But It's been a lot of fun. The car sat for 23 years.
Oh, did it?
Well, I got married, went in the Air National Guard, created a family, became a tool and die maker and everything. And you know, when you're a tool and die maker and you work in a job shop, the boss says, "Hey, you're working 10 hours Saturday because we got to get this job done.
Right.
If you want a job, you're going to work it."
Right.
And that's what I did. And, yeah, actually, the first year I went to American Motors, I probably could have worked 7 days a week for 2 years in a row.
Sure.
But
my dad worked there too.
Yeah, you know, you get tired of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't get a whole lot done on it. And then my son was in high school, and they're having a car show, and he says, "Come on, Dad, let's get it going." So I worked on it. We took it to the show, and I met another friend of mine that I went to school with, and he was involved in the Mid-Century Mercury Car Club.
Sure.
So that kind of did it. Yeah. Well, the rest is, I guess, you might say, history.
Yeah, that's
you know, so I've been, I'm a geezer gasser now.
Oh, are you?
And well, month of June I'm gone racing every weekend.
Wow.
I go to St. Louis, Indianapolis, Bowling Green, Cordova. A couple of weeks I'm going to be going to Norwalk, Ohio. I'll be going back to Bowling Green for the good guys. I'll probably go down to Joliet on a Friday. We got one in one down Mill in Indiana, Kokomo, or I don't know, some place like that.
Yeah.
In Indiana. So I have fun.
So some of the guys that you raced with was probably Marinoff, right?
I didn't race him,
But
but he was out there.
You were both A gassers though, weren't you?
Oh, I was C-Gas.
C-Gas, okay.
He was running at the time, he was running C-Gas Supercharged.
Yeah.
With that, what,
Yeah.
55, 56?
55 Chevy, and then he went to
Those
that.
Chevys are all alike to me.
Yeah, and then he went with the Willys.
Yeah, then he got the Willys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remember some of the guys that went on and became pretty famous racers that you raced against?
Yeah, he used to run a funny car. He was just down in Cordova. I can't think of his name offhand. Ron Colson.
Okay.
He started out with a gasser. He had a Studebaker
Really?
that he ran.